You were born into an invisible training ground. Since you were a child, every decision you were put in front of was carefully shaped to make you predictable, obedient, and above all, harmless. School didn't teach you to create wealth, build power, or master yourself. It taught you to follow orders, wait for approval, and fear failure. The same people who defined the rules said that obedience was a virtue and that questioning was arrogance. That's why so many men today reach adulthood without knowing how to fight for themselves, believing that being good is the same as being strong. And the most perverse part, the system doesn't just weaken you, it convinces you that your weakness is your fault. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it destiny." This phrase is more relevant than ever, because what you call personality may just be conditioning. You're not naturally insecure or complacent. You've been trained to be that way. And until you see the mechanisms that shaped you, you'll continue to blame yourself for not having the life you want. It's like blaming a seed for not bearing fruit when it was planted in poor soil and watered with poison. Here, the truth is simple but brutal. It wasn't an accident. This training in male fragility is useful for those who govern, for those who sell magical solutions, and for those who profit from your distraction. A man who doesn't believe in his own worth will buy any narrative, accept any salary, and bow to any authority. And while you think the problem is lack of talent or bad luck in love, the real problem is that you've been programmed to never become a threat to the mediocrity around you. Today, you'll break out of this automatic mode, not with cheap motivational phrases or easy steps that everyone repeats, but by understanding the unspoken rules of the game. If you don't know how you were trained, you won't know how to free yourself. So get ready, because what we're going to talk about now isn't politically correct. It's not comfortable, but that's exactly why it works. If you've ever felt like there's something wrong with the world, but everyone treats you like the problem is yours alone, stay until the end, because after hearing this, you'll never be able to look at yourself or the system the same way again. The problem isn't just that the system has trained you to be weak. The problem is that it has done so subtly that you think you're making free decisions. The training begins the moment you're taught to avoid risks. Don't do that. It's dangerous. Don't talk like that. It's rude. Don't try. You might fail. Little by little, the man who was born with an instinct to explore, compete, and conquer transforms into someone who measures each step for fear of making a mistake. The reward for obedience comes in small doses of approval. A high grade at school, a compliment at work, a smile from someone telling you what a good boy you are. And like a dog given a treat, you live on emotional scraps, always waiting for the next sign of approval. What almost no one realizes is that this emotional domestication is not neutral. A man trained to seek constant acceptance loses the ability to say no. And when you don't know how to say no, your life is governed by whoever knows how to say yes to what destroys you. This is how the system creates men who work decades in jobs they hate, stay in toxic relationships out of fear of being alone, and waste energy trying to prove their worth to people who will never truly care. Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." What the system does is steal your why and replace it with the how that interests others. You stop living to build something of your own and start living to keep a machine that doesn't even know your name running. And when it starts to suffocate, the answer they give you is always the same. The problem is you. Be more patient. Be more grateful. Be more accepting. This is the perfect trap, because by trying to adjust further, you weaken yourself faster. This is the breaking point that few men realize in time. The system doesn't care about your potential as long as you continue to function as a predictable cog. And every day you don't see this is another day you sharpen your own chains. The cause of this manufactured weakness lies not only in visible institutions, schools, media, politics, but in the psychological mechanism they install within you. It's the conditioning to associate security with conformity. From an early age, you learn that following unquestioned rules keeps you safe from punishment. And for a while, this seems to work. But that same conditioning that protected you as a child becomes the invisible prison of your adult life. You avoid conflict not because you are wise, but because you have been trained to fear any discomfort. The system knows it doesn't need to physically break men to control them. It simply needs to erode their confidence in their own ability to resist. And this is done with a simple formula: social punishment for those who defy, symbolic reward for those who obey. That's the emotional version of bread and circuses. Today, bread is the comfort of a predictable routine, and the circus is the constant distraction. Social media, manufactured news, endless entertainment, all calibrated so you never have time to question your own schedule. The most perverse thing is that this process is self-sustaining. The weaker a person feels, the more he seeks within his own system the answers to strengthen himself, and what he receives are diluted versions of courage, security, and purpose, always sold in small doses. It's the modern equivalent of a controlled addiction. You never get enough to break free, just enough to stay addicted. Sun Tzu said that the supreme art of war is to defeat the enemy without fighting. That's exactly what's happening. Men aren't losing battles. They're not even fighting them. And each generation of men trained to avoid combat, physical or symbolic, creates the next generation even more docile, even more ready to blame themselves for feeling that something is wrong. The truth is, your weakness isn't a personal flaw. It's a manufactured product. It was shaped, cultivated, and reinforced by a system that knows exactly which buttons to push to keep you predictable. The heaviness you feel doesn't come from a flaw in your character, but from a deliberate design to overload your mind with irrelevant concerns while simultaneously draining your energy, so you have no strength left to question the structure. And this behavioral engineering is refined. First, they install in you the belief that be good is synonymous with be harmless. Then they transform every sign of assertiveness into something socially unacceptable. Aggression, selfishness, toxicity. At every step you're forced to self-police. The result? You no longer need an authority figure to limit you. You monitor, repress, and mold yourself to fit into the box you've been given. The game is so well put together that when you finally realize you're unhappy, they already have the solutions ready. Productivity courses that teach you to work harder for others. Therapies that help you accept a life that isn't yours. Books that tell you to love yourself as you are, when who you are was created by forces you never chose. It's a closed loop. The problem is created and sold back to you in the form of a solution, always keeping the origin hidden. Nietzsche warned, whoever fights with monsters should be careful not to become one of them. But the system is even more sophisticated. It makes you believe you're the monster. It convinces you that your frustration, your anger, your dissatisfaction are signs that you need to fix yourself. When in fact, they're signs that you're beginning to awaken, and this is the most dangerous moment for them. Because a man who understands that the problem isn't him, But the script imposed on him ceases to be a controllable resource and becomes an unpredictable variable. When you realize you're not defective, but programmed, something changes irreversibly. Guilt evaporates and clarity sets in. It's as if the fog that obscured your vision has been lifted in one fell swoop. You see that the pieces on the board have always been rigged, and that your role was never to win, but just to keep the game going for others. The first step to breaking this programming isn't to try harder or think positive. It's to cut off the supply of control. This means stopping consuming the mental inputs that feed this domesticated version of you. News that only brings fear, social media that sells comparisons, advice that sounds right but keeps you stuck. Every cut you make is like pulling a wire from an electrical system. Little by little, the machine that controls you begins to lose power. But be careful. Breaking your programming doesn't mean simply rejecting everything. It's about building a new foundation, made of real, practical references aligned with what you want, not what's expected of you. It's about recovering your instincts, reconnecting with your healthy aggression, the kind that protects but doesn't destroy. It's about understanding that being strong doesn't mean being brutal, but being unshakable. Few people understand that this isn't a one-day job, but a process of rewriting identity. And, like any profound process, it will require friction. You'll feel resistance from those around you. You'll lose some connections, and you might even feel alone. But this initial loneliness is the price of freedom. As Carl Jung said, the most terrifying journey is into oneself, and few have the courage to begin. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step. Now the question is, will you let this awareness fade and return to autopilot? Or will you fuel this new flame until it becomes impossible to extinguish? Most go back to sleep, return to the cycle, return to believing that weakness is normal and that this is what life is all about. But some, a few, decide that enough is enough. These people don't wait for the world to change. They change it first. They don't ask for permission to be strong. They simply adopt that stance and let the rest of the world adjust. What you do from here will determine whether this new realization is just another fleeting moment of inspiration or the beginning of your complete rebuilding. If you understand the trap, you know there's no going back. What's seen can't be unseen. So choose. Follow the script you've been trained to obey, or write your own. And if you decide to write your own, know that every word, every action, and every decision must be aligned with your truth, not the truth you've been sold. In the next few articles, we'll delve even deeper into the mechanisms that keep modern humans in a state of weakness and show you how to turn off each one by one. Because, in the end, it's not the system that decides who you are. It's you.